Yeah, I got
There's just not that many out there.
anybody here from Ariana?
I've heard nothing. Here you come from Ariana.
There she is.
Oh, hi, Ariana. Can I get you a chair?
Oh, wow.
It is now. Exactly.
Wow. So much. The piece okay, you're late, I guess.
The special.
How are you, I'm Fred? Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You all have a good view of the screen behind me, is that position you work right here?
Think so. Well, 5:02. I guess we can get started. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Tipton,
What? Present.
Councilmember Martinez,
Here.
Mayor Pro, Councilmember Ortiz. Here. Mayor Pro Tem.
Here.
Rodriguez, Mayor White.
Here.
Everyone's here, man.
All right. Very good. Pledge of allegiance.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Agenda review.
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
All right. City Council Team Building and Goal Setting Workshop. Fred, you're the man.
All right, excellent. I'm looking forward to speaking with all of you this afternoon. We just finished up with a 4-hour training with the staff, which is a little bit different than this one. So I give your condolences to Paul and Jennifer for sitting through another session with me this evening. We'll see if I can keep them awake or not. That was the promise that I made in the first session. Certainly keeping everybody awake. We'll keep them awake. Let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Fred Van Fleck. I'm the lead consultant for the National Center for Executive Leadership and Board Development. I've been with the National Center now for about 12 years. And during that time, I'm now full-time at National Center. But during that time, I also used to be a superintendent. I was a superintendent of Eureka City Schools for 12 years. Just retired from there in January, as a matter of fact. I think that my assistant superintendent stepped up and took my spot, and it was a huge weight to put off my shoulders. And then prior to that, I was a chief business official for a school district as well. Series over the Central Valley School District with 13,000 students. And then also in the public sector, some of the things I've been on the local hospital board, and then also served on our county fair board as well. So in some positions like you all do as well, I have that perspective as well. I did graduate from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I was an ag teacher. In fact, I taught welding and power equipment technology. So I was a CTE teacher, so as you were talking about being more for the trades, I'm certainly supportive of that. My wife is also an ag teacher. My son just started his first year as an ag teacher over in Galt. So it's kind of in the family. He's teaching ag over there, and then this field today, they're getting very much open to Galt. So I have lots of ag teaching in my family, and then I got my doctorate from the University of the Pacific. In administrative leadership. So that's me. So some of the things that we're going to talk about today, and I'll stand and I'll sit some. And one of the questions I have is, how long do you all want to be? Sorry, all 15 minutes isn't an option.
As long as it takes.
So I'm planning somewhere in that 3 hour range. If that works for everybody, I have 4 hours worth of materials. If you all want to go 4 hours, and there's more stuff. It just depends on how into this and how depth we all want to go. So we can kind of play it by ear as we go through it as well. There's lots of learning that happens with this. This is a different workshop than we did with the staff today. The workshop we did with the 6 types of working genius, and then this one is going to be the disc profile and that relates to all the work that you're doing. So I'm going to do a little bit of it's a small group, so I'm not going to stand a lot, but I'm going to do a combination of standing and sitting. I will promise that I'm not just going to sit and read slides. We'll make that promise. So there'll be information that's up on the screen that sometimes I don't talk line for line in the slide, but it's there in your presentation for you to take with you. Because I was, like I said, not slide talker. But one of the things that I like to start with is just the idea of what is the success criteria for the learning today? What is it that I hope that you all walk out with at the end of the evening, knowing a little bit more about? And so what you see up on the slide, this is one of the rare times when I do read off the slide, and I'll ask some of you to read off the slide as well, is just starting off with this whole idea of understanding the DISC view and define what the DISC model is and understand how it works and explain the concepts of DISC as a tool for you when you engage with your public, when you engage with staff, and when you engage with each other as an community. Identify your personal DISC strengths or strategies, or if you will, the style that you most closely resonate with within the DISC profile, and then recognizing those styles in others as well. So it'll create this common language among you as council members as you talk about actions that your staff takes. When the public comes up and does public comment, when you engage with each other, it just creates some really complementary. And then it allows you for some adaptation of your own personal communication style. Because one of the things about this model that it encourages you to do is grow in some of those areas that may not be your natural tendency to operate in. So if you happen to be, and we'll talk a lot more about this, like a D type profile, which is an dominant profile, we'll talk about that a little bit more. And you're engaging with somebody who has an I type profile, which is more of a kind of personal profile, adapting your communication style to better suit to meet in your communication, so you all know what's going on. Also, building effective team skills. We'll talk about that and how you can become a more effective team with the council, and can be, when I say it's effective team with the council, I include your 2 staff members who report directly to you and the council as well, because they are a part of your team on the council. Applying the DISC to leadership and conflict resolution, because sometimes the conflict is around just a different communication style as opposed to being a true conflict on a distant community. And then creating your personal development plan on how you want to live and recognizing some of these other areas within the DISC profile. And then finally wrapping up with some assessment and reflection. One of the things that I always do with the group earlier today is I like to hear from you on how I can improve my craft. I present all over the place and I try to improve all the time. So I'm always interested in hearing your feedback on what I can do better with the example and what things resonate with you as far as what actually happens. So we're gonna do a little opening activity. We're gonna get you engaged. There's one thing that I'll promise is you're gonna do some standing. You're gonna do some talking with your partners, and you're gonna be doing some talking with your as well. So we'll be engaged in that regard. So that way, hopefully, I will put you back this week. And so to start us off, what I'm hopeful in hearing about you is your name and what's your daytime job? What do you do to make a living? Because I know I heard that this is. You recall saying that you can almost make a living being a council member in Greenfield?
Very.
You're different district or something we don't know about.
So
I think you can make a living, yeah, it's just not a good one.
Yeah. Maybe need to move to Salinas or something like that.
And then how long have you been on council? And then I'm also interested in hearing the three prompts down below. I'll bottle that real quickly, on those three prompts. The first one is, what is something, this is easy for me, it's hardly any of you know. What is something that almost everybody knows about me? Well, you know, I come from an ag teaching family. I was told that a few minutes ago, and I'm very interested, in ag and everything, ag related. What is something, that some people know about me? I still have a passion for agriculture and, I give back. One of the ways that I give back is I'm an auctioneer. I've actually raised over $10 million for charity. One of the things I do is the local livestock auction for the youth. That's one of the things I do. I'm sort of very excited and happy that I'm able to get back in that regard. I mean, something that very few people know about me is that I actually put myself through college driving a log truck. My dad was a logger. He taught me to drive a log truck, and 18 years old out there on logs. I don't know if that was the safest thing for me to be doing. But I did it. So that's an example of what you can do as far as the three things that are in my career. So I'll give you about 30 seconds or so to get your responses together, and we'll interpret that. Rachel, you want to start us off?
My name is Rachel Ortiz. My daytime job is a bookkeeper. I've been confidential for a year and a few weeks. There's one thing to tell me about me. I'm a grounded. Because I'm saturated with these. Maybe one of the things, I'll show you here. What is the one thing? I'm talking for it. And then what is one thing? Very few people. I need to tell you.
Thank you.
My name is Ariana Rodriguez. My daytime job is a program coordinator for Hartnell College. I have been on council since February of last year. And what almost everyone knows about me is that I'm a mother of two, very proud mother of two girls. Some people know that I work at Hartnell College. That's my other identity. And very few people know the true struggle and behind my story. That's why very few people know, because I'm a very private person. Yeah. One day I'll show. Yeah.
Bob White, my daytime job is I'm a real estate broker and an insurance agent. I've been on council now for 5 years and 4 months. 1 year and 4 months as mayor. Something that almost everyone knows that I'm a lifelong resident of the area. Few people know that my family has a ag background. My parents were farm workers, and very few know about me. My first job was doing weeding. Long time ago.
Paul Wood, city manager, almost 7 years in September. He's city, being employed with the city of Bloomfield. Almost everybody knows I'm an accountant by trade. Lots of fun, but this is much more fun. Enjoy this much more. Some people know I'm a musician, spent 13 years in Los Angeles, writing and performing and recording music. And I'm taking this one from a fellow department person, very few people know, I'm an award-winning home brewer as well. I won a number of awards in Los Angeles.
You don't share?
Beer. I haven't done it since I've been a city manager. Not a whole lot of time to get out there and mix those.
Especially hard stuff when you get to the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. And I do like Scotch whiskey especially. I don't like winning you. Sad to say. So that's.
Am I the one who causes you to drink? Is that what?
Yes. Didn't say. Didn't say. that.
For about a year. So I think almost everyone knows that before I was an attorney, I worked for a city. Some of you may know that I'm from South Carolina. And there are a few of you like this. On my free time, I was endorsed. I have to be connected to walk away.
So what were you at?
I graduated in 2000. Why did you want?
I'm just letting you guys read so we make it of tea. Right. So my name is Yaneli Martinez. My daytime job is basically I am a community organizer at heart, but I have a new title, which is the Central Coast Organizing Coordinator. So I oversee the organizers in the Central Coast in California. And
What kind of labor organizing or what kind of?
a little bit of both. So we're doing, we're working with Californians for pesticide reform. So in the ag realm, some people can call us troublemakers, but that's a whole different other story. And it's what I love doing that for my job. Council, this is my 8th year. And what is one thing you think almost everyone knows about me? Well, everybody knows that I love my family. I'm all about my kids. They're my pride and joy. And my mom. That was one thing that I really wanted to emphasize being in the council. One thing you think some people might know about you. I think that's a tricky question because lately from the past few council meetings, I think a lot of people think like, oh, she's a troublemaker. So that's what some people want to think. And so I'll leave it at that. And then number 3, what is one thing you think very few people know about you? I think one thing that really a few people know about me is the fact that I'm at where I'm at now because I started very young. And that's how I got the love for Greenfield. So we used to have the UFW office here in town. And during my middle school years, instead of going out and partying with friends, I would go to the UFW office asking, hey, do you need help? This is a little 12, 13-year-old wanting to help and wanting to know more about like labor organizing. And who would have thought that that would lead me to not only becoming an activist, but wanting to serve my community in council. And it's very few that know that history of me getting organizing at a very young age with the United Farm Workers. Yeah. Drew.
Well, it does, like, hand it off quick.
Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Drew Tipton. My day job is an IT manager for Simmons Valley Health. I just started there about a little over a month ago, so enjoying settling in. I've been on council for almost 6 years. Something that almost everyone knows about me is that I'm passionate about the details. I want to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Some people know that I've been involved with the city government for quite some time. I was on the planning commission for several years. I was on the fire board before the fire district merged with the city. It's something that very few people know. You stole my thunder, Paul. I won a gold and a silver medal at the Santa Cruz County Fair several years ago for homebrew.
Competition.
For what would you make?
We made a coffee stout and a porter with peppers in it. Yes.
Wow.
So you got the coffee mellowness for the porter with pepper on top of it. We got the silver for that one. We got the gold for the coffee stout. We put almost 2 pounds of Santa Cruz roasting coffee beans in a 5-gallon battle stout.
Like a dry hop or something at the end, or?
No, we started it out with the
Fermentation.
malt, yeah.
Nice.
We had the malt and we had the coffee beans crushed at the same time and it was in there. So it was like drinking an alcoholic cup of coffee.
Sounds like it probably was actually.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. A few housekeeping things, so we can get started, this evening. You're all votes, you use the restroom, please get up, go use the restroom, you can stand up, get up, stand up, whatever you need to do. In that regard, we will take a formal break. To allow you to all, relax for a second, as well. One of the things that I always like to do is start off with some celebrations. And I think that some of you might have a celebration that you would like to share. It could be in your personal life, it's fine, or it could be something with the city as well.
I have a good one. I'll go first. I just have my major annual events that I do every year that like kill me all year until it's over. So this last weekend, what I coordinate are the culminating events for work we've done all year long at the high schools, and we registered over 900 incoming graduating high school seniors that are incoming Hartnell College students, and hosted workshops for over 200 parents in English and Spanish across. We had 5 sessions across 4 campuses in 3 days. And so I'm super happy. It's over finally. And then number 2, my youngest daughter got a $20,000 scholarship and was accepted to a top school of choice, UC Santa Barbara. And my older daughter was accepted by both UCLA and Berkeley for a pre-doctoral research opportunity this summer. And she chose UCLA. She's going to be starting that. And she also got a $10,000 scholarship with that. Just a lot of celebration. So they're like, oh, the first.
My daughter graduated. Dude.
Yeah, that's what talk to us.
Any other celebration?
Our Rotary Club, I'm the president this year. We just hosted a Valley Night celebration. We had a special guest speaker, the new district governor they elected came in. We had like 50 people and we had maybe 1 or 2 empty seats in the whole room. So it went really, really well. People had a great time and we were the host club this year. So I had to operate that meeting, which was a lot of fun.
And that, yeah, I've been carrying for over 20 years. There's no good reason why you don't. Great.
My grandson just became a sergeant in the army. And he will be joining the police force. He involved in February of 2013. Everything goes okay in Chicago, Washington. My eldest daughter just became an executive at the state health center. She works for the prison. And so she's became an executive. And my younger daughter,
She works at the agency from the ranch.
she works for the Churchill State Prison,
Oh, okay.
and she works in the health department. And so she has a staff and yeah, she was manager and she'll get her executive position in 2 weeks. And then my other daughter, she received she works for the federal, one works for state and one works for feds. The other one just received a really big position.
So in prison system as well.
No, for the post office.
Oh, okay.
And she started when she was 19 years old. She just turned 35. So she's been she bragged about how soon she's been. Before you were till she dated. So
It's great.
That deserves a round of applause.
We're waiting on you too.
I don't know.
I kind of shared it a little while ago. I just started at Summit Valley Health a little over a month ago as an IT connector. So I did it.
You don't have to, don't make me want to.
No pressure.
Right? I think just the biggest thing, watching my family watching me be in politics, all my family hate politics now. I always had the hope that my son would want to be a council member in the city one day, or hopefully the governor, first Latino governor, but that's a long step away. He hates politics. But I'm just proud that I have seen him in his other capacity of just speaking up for what's right in his community and organizing a group in Greenfield and actually supporting and sponsoring legislation and watching him at the Capitol speak just last week at an education committee hearing for the assembly. It was amazing, it was powerful. Just watching him out there and having other people give him kudos for that, including Speaker Rivas saying, like, you know, that's exciting to have you speak on behalf of the committee, which is not easy. So I think as a mom that I just want my kids to be good, caring human beings, and that's exactly what he's doing.
How old is your son?
He is 17. He's the one that brought me my amazing team.
Okay.
And he's about to graduate, so.
Great stories to share. Do either of you have any you want to share?
You said that way too fast.
So one other thing I just want to make sure that we acknowledge too, I don't know if you have any words or protocols, we will be other comments. You want to review prior to the meeting or?
Those are still a work in progress.
Still doing
They
that.
were good.
Okay, okay. All right, so we're going to continue on and where I'd like to go right now, I'd like to talk a little bit about who happens to be my favorite, Patrick mentioned. He has a quote that I really like. And what's really interesting about this quote is you think about a city council is all five of you are on your own individual platform with your own ideologies and your own goals, and then you come together on the city council and you're asked to perform as a team. And the thing that's so difficult about that is you may not align ideology, your ideology may not align the way that you want it to align, but yet you're expected to function as a team, as a city council, to move how the city is go forward. And just to further solidify that, I love the quote that Patrick Lencioni said, and I'll just read it to you. So it's not finance, not strategy, not technology. It is teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage, both because it is so powerful and because it is so rare. Now, you might be thinking, oh, competitive advantage, this is the city. But don't you want to be the best city in Monterey County? Or the best city up and down the valley right here, or whomever you identify that you want to compare yourself with?
We already are.
Right now, with the climate, we probably won't change.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. But it's that teamwork that definitely will bring you together. It's so challenging when you do kind of like, but I would venture to say that the five of you prior to being on the city council probably didn't go to Sunday dinner together or hang out together or doing that sort of thing together. And so this is something that really brings you together. So I commend you on coming together to do some team building work and figuring out how to speak a little bit of each other's language so you can do a more effective job of the governance of the city. So good job on that. So we're going to talk a little bit about our day, kind of keeping our end in mind here, thinking about learning more about ourselves and learning more about each other, appreciating each of our strengths and our differences, if you will, that means honoring our own and others' places in this journey of being on the city council, pushing through some of those uncomfortable times to really recognize your own reality and find some of your knowledge and wisdom to develop and coach our next generation of leaders, just like we talked about with your son, and really thinking about that legacy leadership and how do you build this legacy for the city so some of your thoughts and ideas can carry on generationally for this area. So as we jump into this, what I'd like you to do, and this is an individual activity right now, is I would like you to identify some individuals, preferably 5, that are crucial to your success. Crucial to your success. It could be your personal success. It could be your success as a council member. Here's my promise to you. This won't be the confessional at the end of the day. This is just gonna be for you to think about and keep at the top of your mind. You're uncomfortable writing down a name, just put down an initial, first letter initial, or something like that, something that will draw your attention back to that, because we're gonna circle back around to this at the end of the day. So those 5 individuals who are most crucial to your success. Then once you finish those 5 individuals, the next task is to name 5 individuals who frustrate you the most. Well, for instance, I could say my wife is crucial to my success. I can also say my wife frustrates me the most sometimes, so it can't be the same person. I can say that after nearly 30 years of marriage, so that's okay. So my point being is you can have the same person on both sides of that. So please take a minute. This, when you're done with that, you just set your pencil down and we have a symbol.
Keeps going. It's back.
That's what I told earlier. Okay, we're gonna, if you didn't get going. So what we're gonna do, if it's again, I said, it's not gonna be confessional, I'll actually refer back to this later on, but we're gonna come back to this. A little while. And so, the part that I have for you now, how many of you have been in the East Coast? In the East Coast, you've been in the East Coast. Do you notice anything different about the East Coast and the backyards?
Fences.
There are fences. And so here on the west coast, we have fences that divide out how the backyard and the east coast, they have fences.
Depends on what part of these goes.
What's that?
Depends on what part.
That's true, that's true. But just in general, and you can say the same thing about California, but just bear with me for a second. The part of the story, it lends itself to the story about. And so there's a young couple who live on the East Coast. And they just moved into a new. And they were sitting down, eating breakfast, just after moving in. And my wife looked out the window, that you would have seen. You see the neighbors, it's just filthy, dirty, it's just, it's horrible, all their lights are dingy. And all their other clothes just look horrible, somebody really should go talk to them. And tell them how to do their life, because they are horrible. Husband didn't think much about it, next day, same thing. And wife says, but different clothes, dingy, they look horrible. Somebody needs to go there and talk to them. Maybe you should go there and talk to them. How horrible the job is. So the third day is sitting down, eating breakfast again, the laundry is on the lawn and not something. Why? Look at that laundry, it looks fantastic, it's all sparkly white, it's all clean, it all looks fantastic, somebody must have gone and talked to them, you went and talked to them, didn't you? Didn't go talk to them, well, I wonder what happened. I didn't say, I washed out. So think about that for a second, and we're gonna refer back to this several times throughout the day. Oftentimes, when we look at other people and we start to judge them, we don't realize that we have a film on our own living. And so the idea about what we're going to talk about today, when we're thinking about working with other people, is how do we clean this film off of our window, or at least recognize that we have a film on our window so we can understand that that film is there as we move forward. So I'll refer back a couple times throughout the day and say, we can check our windows on this one, right? So something to be thinking about as we move forward. One way we can think about that is the DISC profile. The DISC profile has been given out to over 50 million people. Almost all of you took the DISC profile, and we're going to spend time today talking about the DISC profile. We're going to talk about a couple things, as I said earlier, in the success criteria. Those are the things that we're really going to go over, but we're really going to dig into this model. It's very helpful because so many people have taken it. It's given a wide scope of data so we can narrow in what most people look like across the world who have taken this assessment. So it's something that we can spend our time thinking about because it's been so widely used. So it will help us in that communicating effectively with others. Some of the things when we communicate effectively with others, we will start to recognize that there's 4 different distinct behaviors as outlined in the DISC profile. Those behaviors can be recognized. You should start to learn about these on the way people use gestures, the tone of their speech, how rapidly they talk, how they interact with others. All those things are clues, to what somebody's personality profile might be. There's also some combinations there. You can always like give this disclaimer if they're very good. The DISC is just one way to look at it. This is not the be all end all only solution out there. It's just a way for us to put the vocabulary with the conversation so we can talk about things that sometimes we don't have words to describe. That's just what it is about. There's another fundamental ground rule that we really need to think about as well too, and that is there's no superior behavior style. It doesn't matter if you're the D, an I, an S, or a C. None of those are superior. There's times when one behavioral profile is better than another, and there's times when one behavioral profile is far worse than another. My wife will tell you about those times often. But anyways, just be thinking about those different profiles that are out there, and just keeping that idea in mind that no particular type is superior than the other. And as a matter of fact, we really need to work on celebrating those successes of the difference, because that's really what makes us unique. That's what makes your team here on the city council unique, and that's what makes Greenfield a great place to be, is some of that uniqueness that comes along with them. And so with that, and one other ground rule that I like to do is just really thinking about your why.
How do I know? People, when they think of the phrase, how do I know? They always look for the what. How do I know what? Big question. If you really say, how do I know why? You know your why, know what. Or it's clear that like for instance, people know that I'm not that's what. My why is inspire people want purpose. Why we do it. We write books. We read a book. All of it is motivated by why. In fact, I have a new web series out called My Two Junior Friends. We probably did a 6 episodes. So every single week, we drop a new episode of My Two Junior Friends. What it is, it's me. I travel around this country. I just never talk to people. And in the middle of my nominees, at some time, I'll stop and talk to my audience. And we film this, and it's, you know, it's pretty cool. But we're in Richmond, saying, look, I'm sure you look at this, and say, and I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, he told me that he did a musical instructor at school. I believe, but you know, they say, you can sing the song, so this is what happened. Last episode. Jay, we should go to the record. Yes, sir. All right, so, let me get a couple bars of like the bacon dress, the first part of that. I'll speak. I say, go rest, like thee. That's what I'm saying. You know that? All right, all right. Now, let's get into the words. Your uncle just got out of jail. You got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the good version real quick. You don't further see if that exists. I'll speak. First time I actually say it, you do what it's doing. Second time, you know your why, and what, or the tax, you just walk towards the purpose.
So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about your why. Why are you on this account? Why do you want to be here? I can ask some people to volunteer, what their why might be. You don't have to. It's just an opportunity. And the reason that this ties in is because it helps to bring together that team and understanding perspectives and where different people come. I'll give you an example of one. So my why for education. I graduated as a from Cal Poly, and when I graduated from Cal Poly, I immediately went to work in industry. I moved to Davis and worked in Dixon, California. And in Dixon, I was the operations manager of the hay compressing plant. Took a normal bale of hay, compressed it down to half the size, and exported it to Japan, to the dairies. Worst job ever. Gosh, I hated that job. It was horrible. And I still remember to this day, as I was traveling between Davis and Dixon to the plants, a carload of FFA students passed me by. And that carload of FFA students were on their way to some contest or something like that. They probably had no idea that I saw them. And in that moment, I had no intention of teaching. My mom was a teacher, grandmother was a teacher, it's been in the family, it was never a calling for me. I realized that's where my true passion was. And I went back, got my master's degree in teaching credential and started teaching ag at that point. And I realized my why at that point. And it took me that time to go to work in industry to realize what my true calling was. My career. So that's an example of a why. And what I'm interested in when you give them is really think about what your why. Are. They want to share a while? Again, you don't have to.
I think it's, for me, kind of a little bit, like I was on to, a long time, used to be a hundred, that she got it. And, she always told me, one of her big themes always was that, she would always say, go for it. And she said when she was young, and the things that she did, all they were expected to be their mothers and have a bunch of kids. My mom had 11 and 3 passed away, so there was 3 kids. And so that was her thing. She'd always tell me, don't be frustrated. I only have a 7th grade education. It's, and that's a whole other story. But she always told me that when before she died, she told me, she goes, don't be afraid, do whatever you need to do, and just do it. You do it to the best of your ability. That's what you need to do. You put in a lot of work, you taking care of that, and just put it in your shop. When this opportunity came on, I was aware that the secret open, the energy districts. Really didn't have any intention of doing it. And so a friend of mine in country, she said, I really wish you would do this. I said, I don't know, anything about it. You've been going to council meetings forever, just do it. I'll pick it up. I picked up the papers Thursday morning. I went to work, thought about it, talked to a couple of people. Came home, got my signatures, turned in the paperwork on Friday morning, that it was June. And I just said, oh, look, see what happens. When I beginning it, somehow I think we really have a good thing. But I realized that, for going to all the meetings for years and years and years, I was invested in it. I was very invested in it. I've been here since I was 15 years old. So I was tired of hearing complaints and everything else, even out of my own. I'm not doing it. He said, if it's meant to be, and when I get out there, then we really get it all I thought, and just I have to learn, and it was probably the most frightening thing ever to sit up there, it was frightening. But so many doors are opening, and things have just changed. Now I was done completely. My wife is to give back to my community and to make a change and try to help people out.
Next, if we're gonna go around the room. My wife for everything I do, not just mental, but professionally with my children, everything is. It's really important to me to feel like I'm part of the solution and not part of the problem or just complaining. So I get a lot of personal satisfaction in feeling like I'm helping other people. So that drives me because I always want to be of service to others and be part of the solution.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Greenfield, of course, and people always have looked down on Greenfield as a second-class community. And I reached a stage in my life where I think I can contribute back to the community and make the city better for all our residents. We are not second class, we are first in class. So want to try and do some good things for the community and make things better.
Yeah, my wife, I actually have done this part before. And what I had come up with before, and Greenfield certainly fits into it, is to help educate and communicate. I just call it success to businesses and organizations, with this financial success, having a financial from the half of organization or strategic success, and you just kind of embody as I can.
You don't have to.
We don't want to.
It seems to be catching on. You don't have to.
What I'll say is that I feel like I have a strength or and I enjoy and given finding and then finding solutions and I think I can do that. The city attorney I can probably do that. And then the emergency role and So like I feel that kind of love, it's like that. And that, it might kind of really crazy feel, and you all, it is really special.
Well, I'll share. I'm getting emotional with this and I'm the crier of the group. But they're crying, bear with me. I cry. Because it's just really like, it warms my heart hearing, starting from Rachel, going all the way around, that we all come with so much joy. And I did come to the council at the age of 33, trying to conquer the world. 'Cause I love Greenfield, our beautiful heart of the valley, like Bob mentioned. It's always been said like, oh, well, Greenfield's just Greenfield. No, we are the heart of the valley. People don't understand. Everywhere you look in the city, you could be standing at any point. It's beautiful, the beautiful scenery that we have, our community that's so diverse. Me coming from a home where I had 2 daughters, you know, 2 boys. I really wanted to be that role model for my girls and really for the next generation of leaders. So I came to the commitment that I really wanted to serve my community because I love my community. Now, if you ask me, the Yaneli right now is I'm serving because I have a remainder of a time. That is my obligation for those that voted for me. But the Yaneli that started because she had that love and the passion, she's no longer here. So when I hear them talk about that passion, it just brings me back to that Yaneli that I can't find anymore. I'm sorry. It's crying. Take it away.
And for me, it's the same thing I always want to give back to my community. When I first moved to California back in. I moved to California in 1996, moved up to a little town called Ben Lomond in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Joined the fire department up there. I was on the fire department for 8 years up there. Moved down to Greenfield. First thing I wanted to do was find a way to give back to the community down here. Tried to get on the fire department here, was rejected because I couldn't guarantee I would get bill every week for an entire year. Because at that point I was traveling for work 40 weeks a year. So it was like, I talked to them and they're like, nope, we won't take you. I'm like, but I bring all this experience. No, we're not gonna take you. So I reached out, finally found the planning commission, was on the planning commission for a while. Ended up getting reached out to when one of the fire board members passed away. Ended up on the fire board as well for several years. And worked strongly to bring the fire department into the city. And it's always been about giving back to the community, making sure the community is taken care of, trying to grow and improve the community and find things to bring into the community.
All right, so it's always interesting to hear other people's lives, and it's also helpful to hear other people's lives, and certainly staying in touch with your own life and allowing these come about, because they do come about from time to time. When you serve in a local role, like city council. And so today, some of the things that I really want you to think about is think about the behaviors that you typically exemplify in others and working with others. And think about that and keep that in your mind. And then also seek to understand some of those behaviors. And then as we move on, also, if you're asked, what is one behavior that you could demonstrate, or excuse me, that to demonstrate you believe will enhance your work relationship with your colleagues, help them to thrive and grow, what might that be? Think about that as we go into today and start thinking about these 4 predominant different types of behaviors that are out there. So I'm going to stand up again for a little bit and move on. And again, as we start thinking about this and start thinking about these different behaviors, people will give you clues into what their tendency is as far as their personality, where they tend to lead. There's many different assessments out there that will do something like this. We talked about it when we first walked in, like Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder. Many different things that are out there that talk about your personality. So this is just one of those that you have some of that common language that you speak about. Once you learn to read these clues, it will help you in your communication with them. It'll help your communication become more effective because you'll start to learn when your windows turn. You'll start to learn how to clean your own window to come out and reach other people and what their style is. Because most of the time, when you communicate with other folks, they've never had any kind of training at all with personality styles. And so they don't even realize that they have a tendency to act or behave in a certain way. And so you can become the person who recognizes that film that's out there on the window. Some of the things that you can really start to focus on, you can start to focus on the words that they use, the presence or absence of gestures, the rate of their speech, the overall pace of their conversation and how they're doing that. And as you get better, you will learn to consciously recognize the what predominant style an individual will have. So in the DISC profile, there's 4 general behavior styles. And you may be a combination of 2 of those. You're going to have a predominant behavior style, and then you'll have another behavior style that goes along with that. Very few people are pure in one of those behavior styles. There are some folks out there who are, but generally there's a predominant and then there's a secondary. Now, as you took the assessment, one of the things you'll notice is some questions that are in there. And part of it is, it might depend on the mood you're in as far as what that assessment turned out like. It might also depend, did you answer the question as a city council person? Did you answer the question as somebody's bookkeeper? Did you answer the question as somebody's spouse? All of that is dependent upon how that day is gone. So again, that's not to acknowledge, this is not the be all end all. It just creates a starting conversation point for some of those conversations. The other thing is you become well versed in this. I talked a little bit about this in the beginning, is I can make myself anything I want to be. I've done this workshop so many times that I understand these different profiles. I understand that so well. I can be anything that I want to be. So it comes down to your candidness and honesty when you actually take the assessment as far as where you're going to turn out to be. The first area is D. D is that direct type personality. I like to use the analogy of walking through the woods. A D personality is a person that will go from point A to point B in the most efficient, effective, time-honoring path that they possibly can. And they will get to point B quickly, and then they'll take a look behind them and realize that they just mowed down the forest from point A to point B. And they'll look back and go, oh, and not even realize that they did that. It's a real dominant type personality, results-oriented, strong-willed, forceful. An I type personality. That's the type of personality that's really in the interpersonal relationships, that's influence your relationships. Going back to the force analogy, that's the person that's going to go from point A to point B, and they're going to start with every tree, with every plant, with every wild animal, and say, oh, how's it going to be? How do you do that? Things okay. How's your family? They're going to know everybody in the family by name. So remember, I said that he is really efficient and quick to get from point A to point B. How efficient and quick is somebody going from point A to point B when you stop and talk to everybody around well? Probably not so efficient, but everybody loves it. Because they know everything about your history, about your past, about your children, know how to have a great conversation, they have this personality that you're just drawn to, because it's just this high personality that really get things done to be that influence. So D, direct, quick point A to point B, lots of collateral damage. And I, interpersonal, great relationships with people, but late all the time. Because they get around about talking to people, and they lose track of the goal that they're trying to do. One more disclaimer that I always want to give is I'm talking in gross generalities. So if you're one of these behavior types and you get offended by something that I say, I apologize in advance, because again, I'm just grossly generalizing at this point. A C, conscientious type person, somebody who's really into the details. Every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed, everything has to be perfect. Everybody looks at a C type personality, when they're going from point A to point B in the forest, is going to stop at every tree. They're going to look up And it's not gonna be enough for them to estimate how tall the tree is. They actually have to climb the tree and measure from the top to make sure they get the exact height of the tree. So they are gonna know every single detail, and they're gonna be really good at those details and really know them. But the disadvantage of a C-type personality is sometimes they get into something called analysis paralysis. Meaning that they're unwilling or unable to make a decision because they need more details. Give me more, I don't have enough information, so I can make this decision. I need more information to make this decision. And sometimes they get so caught up in the details, they miss the deadline because it's not perfect. Because everything they have to do has to be perfect. And nobody can live up to the same standard as a pure C, because it's not perfect enough for their standards. Steadiness. Steadiness, the S-type personality, somebody who is into the way we've always done. They love systems. They love to repeat systems and follow those processes that are time honored, that have been around for a long time. Go back to that forest analogy. Have all of you been up in the woods and seen the game trails that kind of meander through the woods and go around? Your S-type personality, when they're going from point A to point B, they're gonna find that game trail and they're gonna follow it. And then they take them over here, over there, up here, down over here, but they know it will get them to point B because it's a system that they will use, it's tried, it's true, and they are loyal to it, and they will make sure it happens. So, disadvantage of an S, they hate change. The advantage of an S is they're gonna be a systems player and they're gonna play by the rules and they're gonna do it by the rules. So great example of what an S-type personality is. And so as we dig in a little bit deeper, the D, the people have a high D factor, love a challenge. They want to get things done. They love to be busy and they love to get that done. And they love to compete. They make decisions quickly. They move through things quickly. They like to take risks. They love to have that rapid pace. They love being efficient. And they love generating results and showing people the results that they get because they love going directly to the point A that point B. They love to have that conversation. They love to deal with the influence. They have a lot of excitement. They have a lot of enthusiasm. They're generally the cheerleaders about how great the city is and how great things are going here. They use a lot of tonal variation when they're talking, and they are very optimistic about where things are going. They love social components in the just really. The S, again, systems, step by step, high steadiness. They tend to be introverted. They don't like to get out of their comfort zone, and they hate conflict, but they're really good at systems. They speak very deliberately, they don't like to take risks, and they have a high degree of patience to follow the system. High degree of patience to follow. C, people with that high C factor, they tend to be introverted as well. They are perfectionists, they talk generally very monotone, and they limited hand gestures. The quality of the work is exceptional because they just really stick to the detail. Data is important to them. They follow the rules and they encourage everyone else to follow the rules as well. Following the rules for that C-type personality. Leaders who are Ds, they really focus on the bottom line. They're very succinct in the information they present. Don't give C a D too many details. They don't want the details. They want to not make a decision and move on. That's what everybody wants. Too many details for the D is just going to frustrate them. So they don't want all the details. They want to move on. The I's, again, they love that social component. They really enjoy people. Rapport is everything to them. How people think about them is incredibly important to them. I's have this tendency to be disorganized. The reason that they have a tendency to be disorganized is not because they have this particular affinity for not being organized. It's just because they are so tied up in the interpersonal relationships with the people they deal with every day with the organization's secondary. It's not something that's really tied on their priority list. The S, again, back to that slow pace, they want time to think about something. If you're gonna convince that S to follow a different game trail that goes through the woods, you have to convince them why. Once they are convinced why, you have, and they're gonna go in that direction you want them to go, but you have to convince them of the why. And it has to be very logical, as to that why. But once they're convinced, they're on board, they're ready to go. The C, more data, more data. They really don't like it. I think chit chat, and let's get this thing figured out. Tell me some more data. Let's go. More data, more data. And they're always going to ask you for more because they want more information in order to make that appropriate decision. So I think this is a great time. We're in about an hour. I noticed that food is still sitting over there. Why don't we take a little break, let you all get something to eat? How much time do you want for a break? You tell me.
15-20 minutes, okay.
Which is 15, but I gotta write out my seat here. Come on.
You know, it's 15 time.
15 minutes, okay, so it is 6:07, so that means it's 22.
I really think it'd be a lot of fun for them.
35, I think, in the.
Put music on it, Councilmember.
I think closer to.
Your daughter sang, didn't she, at the park thing?
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's bigger than that.
You think it's bigger? I'm not sure on high school.
big Selena fans.
I don't know how big it is now, but I think.
No, I think
I
you're
think
right.
the graduating classes here.
It's almost 400, right?
Yeah,
So it must be close to between around 1,600.
So it's two separate school districts.
Mm-hmm.
kind of. Well, school district and a half, share the high school district with Kings. Which growing up in the East Coast, the whole school district concept is just. Absolutely absurd to me. We had county schools. Where the county ran, I think in my school, my county, they ran 18 high schools. 18 high schools, like 60 middle schools and like 175 elementary schools. The population of the
One superintendent.
one superintendent and like 5 or 6 deputy superintendents.
There's some logic to that.
Say again?
There's some logic to
There's some
some.
logic to that.
Well, I look at Monterey County where we've got what 19 school districts. Like 14 of which are under 500 students.
One superintendent, we also do deputy director.
Good, 3,339 students last year.
School board for 16 years.
There you go.
Well, the other thing that really confuses me out here is
Said it's 1,300.
oh, there you go. So that's, yeah, well,
Close.
the thing that surprises me out here is you have to have the demand before you can go to school after. And we're back east in Georgia, it was, as you were building new developments, you entered into agreement with the people who were building the developments and they built schools in the developments. And then deeded them over to the county.
Solid.
All right, it is 6:22. You ready for me to start?
Let's go.
Okay. So, as we think about these different, personality traits, let's talk a little bit about how we can use the writing emails. A D-type personality in an email is generally someone who gets right to the point. And if they want to know what the enrollment of the elementary school district is, they're just going to write in that email, what's the enrollment of, Greenfield Elementary School? Boom, send it. In fact, half the time an E-type person has to go back and put a greeting, say hi, or something along those lines, to kind of temper down their email movements. That's the greed, very succinct. And I type is gonna generally write 5 pages of asking questions about your family, and how they are, and your children, and all your friends, and your friends, and the conversation they had with you last week, and all that kind of stuff. And then the very last sentence of the email is gonna be, oh, by the way, what's the email? The elementary school district. It's a little bit different way of going about writing an email. A S, when they're writing the email, is gonna send you those reminder emails. Hey, don't forget that we have a disc training coming up tonight. We start at 5 o'clock, make sure you're not late, we're right at 5 o'clock, it's all set for 5 o'clock. Reminding you about those things, the systems, that's what we call them, that's the aspect personality, what they generally will do. A C is always gonna want more data. So they're generally writing an email to build their repository of emails. A C-type personality will generally have this elaborate email filing system. And if you want an email about what you said in 1902, yes, I know you don't exist then, but what you said in 1902, they will have it in their email filing system because they have all their email from the beginning of time in email. They use it in that regard. So, and they love emails over the voice conversation because it gives them a way to track the information that they do.
That's what I told my staff, it's not an email on the ticket, it doesn't happen.
There Where's your seat? All right. So the next few slides, we're gonna do a little bit of interaction, and we're gonna let you work as a group to determine which one of these you are. So which one of these getting on an elevator most closely represents you? Individually, please don't blurt it out. Who's our blues? What is that most closely representing thing?
That's D.
D, yes. Who's our yellows? The yellows out there? Who do you think this is?
That's a C.
That's a C, yeah, calculating the weight, all about the data. How about our grades? That one, that's a half hearted.
Yes, so
One more, that. How about this one? And this is the one that really commonly gets me confused, not just on this slide, just when you're thinking about personalities, the S's and the C's, there's a lot of similarities there. And so you have to really think about what are the differences, you know, kind of come to you as you start going through these. Remember, systems versus data. Now, oftentimes, when you think about systems and the issues with the system, you're confused with the data. So waiting in line, moving from one line to the other, to see which is the best line to meet, if you're unable to make a decision, what gives this one away is the unable to make a decision. Because the S's sometimes struggle in their decision-making process because it could create conflict. S's generally will do anything they can to avoid the conflict. All right, shopping for groceries. Who's our blues? Okay,
Depends on the trip.
what is the blue most closely represent what which color about? D, yeah. You didn't get it down, I need to go back and read it. Know the staff by name, yellows. Yellows out there. What is that most closely represent?
Nice.
And then the grays. Now look at these two right here. What's the difference between these two? How do you figure out which one is the pass and which one is?
The efficiency.
So who is that? Who is the efficiency one?
Grays.
The SNC.
I think gray is that fast.
Why do you think so?
Yeah.
How about this, thinking about this too? An S probably has the same list that they had from last week, and they just recycle it. Because guess what an S does? An S has a standard list of meals. But they go through the math, or something like that, but they just follow that notation of those meals all the time, because it's a system. So I happen to know that very well. I'm like this. And that's, I will be eating full of actually very good. I'm not going to cook it, it's just very stop. So, and then the coupons, that's a calculation, that's a detail. How about on the golf course? What's green?
I would be able to.
Bye.
Yellow.
What we need.
Okay, so let's see, which two are close? So there's, yellow and the gray, I believe there's a C. There's a gray, the system, any conflict, always say, well, it's separate. And then, watch out.
How you make this taste look so.
Get out of my way.
Like, what? I'm like mowing people over.
No, you just don't realize. You know.
Yeah, psychologically, maybe.
All right, unable to cook without a timer and measuring cups. Okay, so full disclosure, I'll talk about, I'll just a second, I'll leave that there. Timer and measuring cups. Versus, prepares a meal from scratch and rotates around the dozen standard recipes. System. Details. Much food from large groups, was at next place.
Aye.
And then unable to cook without a microwave. I hate this one, I'm a D, I was thinking about that, and I'm a D, and I love to cook, I'm a good cook. So all these aren't accurate, it's just been a little fun sometimes, but I'll tell you what. Told you, my wife is an S, she wouldn't even dream of cooking meals. And I love to just do a little this, a little that, but this sounds like it'd be good in here. And I'll tell you, what, you put me in the kitchen at the same time as her. It's a fight waiting to happen, so I learned that she's cooking, I just back off and let her do her thing. Because she doesn't like it, like, oh, this is good in here, let's put a little bit of this, but it doesn't say that in the recipe. So again, I'm really thinking about my cooking. So the next time, when you interact with others, and you start to think about the way they behave, and you recognize that you have that window on in front of you, you have your own film. You'll start, or I guess I should say your film, whatever. You'll start to recognize that it's hard to predict book by its cover. So even looking at this, anybody?
Similarities? They're all very fashionable. That's a similarity.
Is it the same person?
There you go. In person. So never judge the moral of that story, never judge a book by its cover. And just be thinking about the ways, the clues that people give you in the way they talk, the way they write an email, the way they interact with you, the pace of their words, all those. So, meetings. You think about your council meetings, how these will generally be. They want to get through the agenda as quickly, as efficiently as possible. Stop talking so much, scab, keep your report shorter. What the heck are you talking about so long for? Efficiency, get it done.
Are we all Ds? Because we all.
And so that's an interesting, one of the things that we talk about in protocols. If you've given an expectation to staff in a written protocol, how long do you expect their presentations to be?
Maybe we should. Told him.
You've got 50 seconds to make your case.
Yeah. Because here's the reality. You think about all of your different departments within the city. Okay, so you have public works, you have police, you have fire, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you talk with your fire chief, does he think fire is important? Absolutely. If you talk to the police chief, you think that they think police is important? Or not? You think, so you think about your public works, do you think they think public works is important? Maybe. About your maintenance and, maintenance crew, and I forget what you call them. I know you have superintendent that does all the maintenance and all that kind of stuff. Do you think he thinks, manually think he thinks that that whole division is important? About parks and rec. So when they get up and talk to you, they are talking about their world. And if you haven't given an expectation to Paul that he's able to relay to them, this is how long the council wants their presentations to be, he has no teeth to hold them accountable for them. Because if they come to him and say, hey, I've got this half an hour presentation, he said, well, I don't want 10 minutes. I think he's a jerk, because he doesn't appreciate what's going on in the police department. But if he can say,
Well, maybe he doesn't.
Did you go to the last council meeting? It sounds like you watched it.
But if you as a council decided that 10 minutes, that's the length, unless there's permission given by the mayor to go over 10 minutes. Prior to the agenda, which is posted, it's 10 minutes, that's what it is. And so he can then be that in his team accountable for what the council wants. And so those are some of the things that you all should be thinking about as far as your protocols and having some of those conversations.
We do that. So,
We do.
yeah, we do, but
Do we abide by it?
we do.
I told him expectations. It's,
So what was the
they
expectation?
don't always meet it, but that's fine, way
Yeah.
better.
We'll have to talk about them for next meeting, when we get a chance. Then it's right, because it's budget. Departmental budget things.
I think budget is an exception, though,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Eyes, they're gonna want to have a social component to the meeting. It's important to have that meal over there each time. Eyes, their own council, want to bring people in, want people to feel happy, want people to be well, they want people to be around there, all the time. Sometimes eyes will steer the meeting off track because it's about helping people feel better about themselves. Eyes get really pulled into the public comments sometimes, so they really feel for people who have that pain, because there's real stories of pain that come in public comments sometimes, we all know that. S's love committees, because it gives them more time to think about that, they love to push things out in committees, and give them more time to think about it, making sure that we're following those systems, they want to make sure that every outcome is examined before they're willing to make a decision. And that's where the confusion sometimes comes with the C side of the house. C wants more definitely to make a decision. S's want to make sure that every possible outcome is thought about and explored before they're willing to go with it. C's will make statements like, our scores are up, or our roads are 11% worse than they were last year, or whatever. But specific numbers. Or ask, how valid is this research? Those sorts of things. You can count on the C's to be very precise and very accurate and want every single detail before they make a decision. But as you start pulling these things together and you start thinking about these, it's important, as much as we both funded our I's and our S's and our D's and our C's, it's important to have all of these come together, because as I said at the beginning, it's about celebrating those differences and remembering that none of those particular behavior styles are superior to the others. And again, as much as I do this training, I have to remind myself of that all the time. Look at your window, Fred. Take a look at what dirt is clouding your judgment when you're looking at. So we're going to take a look at your group culture report. No, I think I moved it down for that. I'm sorry. So your group culture report is going to be a little bit further, and I decided to move it down, but I didn't do this slide. But what I do want to talk about before we get there is political ideas as a council when you're leading others. S's have a tendency to rescue others because they don't want others to fail. Remember what I said in the beginning? They're the ones who are going to send out that email to forget. The council meeting tonight at 5 o'clock, will be late. Really important conversation, really important that you're being there because they're rescuing people, making sure that they're there. And so you need to hold S's responsible because they don't want the conflict of somebody not doing it. And so you have to hold them responsible for the conflict. The C's, when you're leading them, you need to define perfection for them. Because they're never going to reach their own level of perfection in their lives. Eyes, close the door. Anybody know what the heck that means?
Yeah, someone others in.
Yeah, because guess what happens? If your city manager is an eye, he is going to be distracted by every person that walks by his door. And he's going to want to engage with them, going to want to interact with them, and it's going to pull him off of the core mission that you as a council want him working, but that's not necessarily a problem. Maybe not. Maybe not. And then these, keep them focused on the mission, or they will go out and create their own kingdom. They'll focus on whatever mission. They need to have something to keep them busy. Y'all know what a border collie is? Y'all know what a border collie is? They gotta have a job. Kind of like a D has got to have a job. And if you don't keep them focused on the job you want them doing, they'll go off and create their own job and get themselves in trouble. So keep them focused on the mission. So as we go through each one of these, I'm going to ask for some volunteers to read some of them out. So, for example, you know your plane is too high when you, and then someone will jump in there and read that first bullet, please.
We're walking around a lake and decide to walk across it for a change of pace.
What do you think? What letter?
I.
Great. Walking, who likes a change of pace just because the wind's blowing a different direction? Who do you have to keep focused on the mission? Where you're going? That is definitely a D type personality. Declare your front yard is a sovereign nation to attempt to reach a foreign trade agreement on car imports. Fields and urge to direct traffic downtown at 5 p.m. Arrives at work at 8 a.m. and by 8:03, the entire office is ticked off at him or her. Honored as the troublemaker of the year. These are all quotes from my former workers. I'm kidding. All right. You know your plane is too high, so we'll read that first bullet. Actually, we'll read all of it.
Leave a partial message on a friend's answering machine and need to call 4 times to leave the entire message. Offer to help an elderly person cross the street, and the person is sitting on a front porch with no intention of moving. Feel like reading a book and invite 5 friends to come over to read it with you. Dial a wrong number and talk to the person who answers for half an hour anyway.
What do you think?
That's a social.
Not-
difference.
Sounds like an eye.
Listen for 30 minutes to a telephone sales person selling snow removal equipment and you live in Florida. Even though you graduated from high school 25 years ago, you just saw your senior picture and your hairstyle has not changed. That's a tragedy, man.
I'm actually thankful for that because I still have it.
True. Begin your summer vacation by reading all your insurance contracts.
Okay.
Sounds like a.
The-
Yes, yeah. And what really gives it away is same hairstyle, same system, same place. Reading all your insurance contracts, because again, not for that change, wants to know exactly how you're covered, the system, the way we go to the benefits. The telephone salesperson selling snow removal equipment and you live in Florida.
That seems more like the top. First, I think more like an eye.
That could be, that could be.
You guys can do it.
Drew, are
You don't do that.
I'm laughing because so many of these are me. Are so precise in your musing and data that in releasing a person of their duties, they thank you for it, they often take you out to lunch.
This is a true story that's actually happened with one of our directors. Purposes, pirates. We did that.
There you go. Make that hobby out of checking the claims of laundry detergents. Yeah, I've done that. I actually did a science project out in high school. Form your own quality circle to improve the quality of cooking in your home. Yeah, my wife told me a little bit that. And
But that dog is crossing mine.
run out of gas on purpose to find out exactly how far your car goes on a gallon of gas. I did that, but accidentally. Well, my car reported I had 9 miles to go and I tried to make it to Soledad and I didn't make it.
What is it?
This has been Wendy Day.
That's a steep.
So if you think about this, it's kind of like a great cake. Great cakes have different ingredients. Some cakes have more flour, some cakes have more sugar, some cakes have eggs, some cakes don't have eggs. It's all those ingredients that come together though, and that's go by cake. But it's all those ingredients that come together that make a great cake. And that's one of the things you think about. If you go back to that original quote that I talked about what Patrick King showed me, and this idea that teamwork is the ultimate competitive advantage. And so how do you bring together 5 different people who ran on 5 different platforms, who may have 5 different ideas about what's best for the city, to work together as that team to do what's best for the citizens of the city? We now forward the challenge of, yes, sir. What's that? Unified goal, that's how you do it. So, as we go through this, we're gonna do, it's not gonna be a breakout, but we're gonna do, look at some of the things on communication and how each of the groups would address some of these different areas. Delegating, directing people, developing people, decision making, managing time, problem solving, and motivating others. Before we do that, we're gonna jump into your group. So this is you. And so let me show you how to read this a little. So if you had any keys, they would be in this quadrant right here. Eyes right here. And C right here, and C right here, it's like $30 money. So let me help you out. This particular person is a primary S, they're a little bit more over to the S side with a very strong secondary C. This person right here has some S, also has some I, but definitely very strong C. This person right here has some strong C in them still, but very close to the B, so definitely a secondary B. And so what I'd like you to do right now, please don't announce to everybody what dot you are on here. But what I would like you to do is see if you can guess and write down on a piece of paper, you don't have this in front of you. But if you can draw a little map of that very quickly and see if you can guess where you think your fellow council members are, along with Paul and Jennifer. Paul and Jennifer are not there. There's only 6 dots. I wasn't gonna be the confession for you.
Yes.
I'll let you do that, so.
I was waiting for you to finish. Full disclosure, I did not complete this task, so you don't see my dot, but I probably pretty sure Drew knows where I would fall in. Huh, Drew?
No, actually, I don't. I have an idea. of what it
So
would
I'll
fall.
ask you to share that, but not right now.
Okay.
I have an idea.
We'll be counting on your idea. Where is that?
It's not in there
Oh.
because, yeah.
Oh.
So the results actually weren't even completed until yesterday, so this was printed out.
Oh, okay.
So it gets added in. now. It also helps me from getting people looking at.
Oh, what do we get if we get them right?
There's a beautiful grate right here that has your name on it.
There's always a competition. Or that motivates.
Which letter is competitive?
But on this one, I was a C, I wasn't a D, so. Oh, well.
Varying degrees of C-ness out there.
Everybody should know which one they were.
I'll just look again for the pencils to be down. That they need the best. Okay, now I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions about that. You're not gonna, you won't have the questions in front of you. They're in your slide deck, but they're just for your slide deck. So anyways, the questions are, I think the other members, what conclusions do you draw from your cultural percentages? So basically where those are at to the average percentages with over 1 million is actually close to 50 million, which what's out there. And this, for the team you and me are working with, what would be your greatest challenge? It's the team you're working with. So here are your percentages of where you fall in each of those areas. It's a different way of looking at that same graph. And we're gonna go back to those questions here in just a second. My question for you is right now, if you look at this 0, 17, 17, and 67% in Steve's got. Where do you think those 50 million people or so who have taken this assessment fall percentage-wise from each of these 4? Hold it up in a group discussion, just talk with each other about what you think about it.
What if we start with 20%?
Yeah, well, but I was thinking that because that would be statistically correct. But then I'm starting to think if this is leaders that are doing this, for the most part, I'm gonna think there's gonna be more Ds involved in that as the leaders.
Steve and Steve
Or dominant.
would be my guess.
Is that correct assumption? To assume that more leaders are doing this?
He's not gonna give us any information. Come on.
If it's the leaders that are having their staff and their departments do this, like they did at Heart Now, and the whole room was full and only one person was a D of like 40 people, then it might not be. So,
Or, right? So I would say to be that.
So then maybe, yeah, the 25% each roughly is correct.
I would guess higher eyes and honestly. Higher than 25% for those people.
No, how much?
Age.
Five?
More than 25.99. Oh, wow.
Wow, pretty close.
Wow.
So that's amazing. And the thing that's really interesting about that is we all get so stuck in our own little world that we don't realize that it really falls out this way, basically 25%. How about that data? I don't know. It's valid to what the disk is, because this is their information. To me, the bigger question would be is how valid is this? That was the disclaimer that I gave in the beginning, and more about giving us common language. But for me, it resonates. My disk profiles changed over time. When I was a superintendent, I was much more. When I was the assistant superintendent of business services, or the chief business official, or the business person for the district of $100 million budget, my C was mayor. My D was down, so it really becomes positional about what you do. So almost gave away the secret. So as you think about these questions right here, average basically 25, 25, 25. What do you think the implication is of this? For you is the group?
I think it means we actually have to try a lot harder to like connect with people because there isn't like somebody up there that's like to balance each other out. Like we're all sort of thinking the same way and data driven. And so that's what's gonna matter to us, maybe more so than like the personal connection. Not that that doesn't matter, but that isn't gonna be what drives our decisions. And there isn't somebody to like weigh that out or balance it out, I guess.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too, is you've got the whole thing with the analysis paralysis, because we've seen it a couple of times where it's like, we're sitting there and we're looking at each other, trying to figure out if we want to make that decision.
Right.
Because there's nobody sitting there to step up and take that D role.
I think we're a lot more alike than.
I would agree with that.
I'm surprised by that.
I think, you know, we don't want to see that, because again, the window. In our window that I think really validated. And
Well, and I think we heard that too when we were all talking about our whys, is we're all basically trying to do it for the same reason. But our approaches are different.
And I think we all got to work really hard on communicating to the public. That's where that's not our natural style. Or accuracy and stability.
So there you what, if I was out watching their council meetings, and this is my style, I told you that that's what my style is. I'd be like, no, it's done, make a decision already, but he's talking about this, we're still. Come on now.
yeah, I think we've had something that we were. I think in Ariana was the one that she finally just said it, you know, and I think we were all thinking it, but we didn't say it.
Yeah.
And then she came out with, you know, come on. Put this to bed or we're gonna keep on going. And then we were just like, oh.
I think it is too, what you said, though, it depends on like what hat you're wearing when you do the survey. Because like I said, for work, it was like a strong D, but when I was answering those questions for like what I'm like in the workplace, then you know, it's like the results and I'm just, we need to get there. And usually leading teams, whereas here it was like, no, it does matter a little more like what people's feedback is, how it impacts people's feelings, like things that I'm not going to take into account so much in my workplace. So I did answer the questions obviously a little differently because it was different, but it also, it just is a testament to, you do have to tap into different parts of your strengths or weaknesses, depending on what you're trying to do and like what hat you're wearing at the time. Yeah, like here I do care more about the data and the analysis and that kind of stuff.
Here's something that's really interesting. And Paul and Jennifer will be able to chime into this. And what we went through in the last training was about productivity. It was the six types of working units. And a segment of that was called guilt and judgment. And in that guilt and judgment, the synopsis of it was quit feeling guilty about what you're not doing and quit judging others about what they're not doing. This model is different. And I want to bring that up, and it's important because that one is about productivity. This one is about personality. And so the argument here is you have to have some guilt when you're not checking your own limits and making sure that you're seeing the filter that other people are looking for. I happen to know for a fact, I'm not the alpha person yet, but we are in just a second, this is not a problem. And so if I was an I, and I was sitting in your audience, I might also say, this council doesn't even care about it. They're not connected. I'm not watching your meeting. I'm just talking stereotypically to what people might think based on where do we fall. Any other thoughts that you want?
Well, I think, when you look at those results, this council's got to really push for results. Got to push, get goals achieved. Because we're getting bogged down in all the details.
And so as you think about this, and this is a foundational principle that we have in the National Center. The council is all about the what it is you want for the city. And then your staff are all about that how they achieve. And so if you get yourself in that role and you're really thinking about staying at that high level of what it is you want. And then there's going to be some overlap in those strategic success indicators. And the metrics that you use to measure that success in each of those areas. But you've got to get that clear direction off to your staff on what it is exactly you want. And let them, as a daily professionals, figure out that how. And a natural tendency over here in the city world is you want to be involved in the habits. You want to do more. So it's going to be difficult sometimes to let go of them, but let staff go on.
But doesn't the S want to be involved as well if they want to know what the plan is?
No, the S just what's called the system of approach. And so here's my best example of an S in a city. So think about a building. There's a process, right? You have to follow the process. And S type personality loves that process because they've got a book they can go to, they can follow that trail, so they can go down it and continue to do it that way. So they don't necessarily need to know that. They just want the process, but they want to do their plan to do that. They don't care about it, as long as it fits in the process. And if the process says they want to detailed plan, then look at the plan. But they don't really need that unless that's part of the process.
You also might have to think a little more out of the box, some things too.
All right, we ready for full disclosure?
No.
No, we can't see the top ones. There we go.
No.
What about everybody? Jennifer?
Bingo.
You got a bingo over here.
Thank you.
I didn't. I had you and Bob switched.
Nice.
Yeah. No, you and Jennifer.
Jennifer?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you say you and Bob. You and Jennifer switched, but everything wrong.
It was close.
What?
Yeah.
Likewise.
And I was kind of in the same
Rachel.
area.
Bob.
So who won the grade?
Paul,
On the one.
the great.
Red, I did not- actually, I had more than, I got a few right. I got three.
That's him being an I and he wants the rest of us to not feel bad about losing.
Where do you think you fall?
I think I'm definitely like a B. I feel like sometimes I'm a 9.
I was thinking more on the ID side, but yeah.
Yeah, I would think, yeah.
So have you ever taken it before?
I don't recall.
Did you take, you said you took this one just the other day, though. Did you get a report out of it?
No,
Oh,
I couldn't take it for the phone,
Oh.
the paper copy.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But I.
So potentially, with something there. To bring up this area or to bring it up in time. So. One thing, let me go back to this. So, who's this? That's all. What is the tendency or conflict between C's and I's? Where's that conflict from?
It's kind of like facts versus feelings in some ways.
Well,
Or are
yeah,
you talking about timing also, like?
no, I'm not talking about time, I'm just thinking about what floats your boat. What motivates you. And so Paul, I'm gonna stereotype now, because I have no idea if this is accurate, is motivated by the interpersonal relationships and how people feel on the first half. Secrets are very much motivated by the details. And all the components that go into that and don't look at the people's feelings. And give me 1 second, it's gonna be very out there and extroverted. A C is gonna tend to be very introverted. An I is gonna tend to be loose on deadlines and loose on data. A C is going to tend to be very tight on the data and tight on holding other people accountable to the data. An I, definition of perfection, and a C's definition of perfection are two very different things.
Absolutely.
And so I'm just speaking in generalities here. It's going to create a natural conflict there sometimes if you all don't really focus on making sure your window's clear and understanding where the other folks are coming. So I'm curious your reaction. I'm not saying that's reality at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just speaking in generalities. So you know that.
I think one of the biggest differences though is that we're accountable to the people and he's not. And that's
accountable to the fact that you.
well, right, he's not, but the fact of the matter is that he's something you voted on for big law. But that's what I'm saying, though, that's why a lot of us are more focused on that data.
Right.
I would actually argue that he can't be voted on. And here's how it gets voted out loud. Your city manager, your town.
I know. Look at the position he's been. And apparently, a lot.
Good answer, Bob.
Yeah, we can vote them out. And then let me go, so I can go on your meeting. Here's how they're gonna get.
Starting to form you need.
If you send him off, he's a tip of your spear. And you send him off to do something that's controversial with the public. Signs. Whatever, yeah, you can do 25 different things that are controversial. You send him out and it creates a massive upheaval. We've got to get this council out. guess who's gonna be shortly behind that, because he's gonna be seeing the person who does that, so he has to be accountable to the public too, but he also, first and foremost, needs to be accountable to friends.
I would agree with that, but like I said, that's why I think we focus more on the data, because we're looking at what's going to impact our residents, what's going to impact the city bottom line, what's going to impact all of that. And that's why we want that data to make that decision.
Right.
Because I think it is important at all times that we're making decisions to have something to point back to this, the data, to say this is why. And, you know, it wasn't just an emotional decision.
Just, can we look at the proximity to D?
Results? Well, it looks like you and I are taking this from D there.
But, just saying.
Got the D influence, right?
When I'm wearing my council hat, I'm a C.
I want results too, and I want action too. So,
Yeah, I think for all of us, there's a tendency.
Jen.
Like,
dude.
So here's, and what I'm hearing is actually good news. Here's what I was digging. Intentionally, I was digging for, was there something, conflict that's been unspoken at this point about frustration or anything like that? And it doesn't sound like that's pervasive in the group.
Feeling so well.
Between city council and staff, as far as not about who he is, I don't think that at all. About how he goes about, or how staff go about doing their business.
I personally feel like I'm able to tell Paul when I'm frustrated with a specific department or, you know, department head or anything. I mean, I do feel like I can just tell him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
Not
why,
everybody does feel like.
maybe that's why there is like an unspoken tension because it's spoken.
And oftentimes, I will agree with you.
I think I told Paul. And I'll share this, that I told him, you know, if I have a complaint, I will do it there, I'll bring it to you personally and talk about it. And if it keeps on going and then you don't really get involved. Then I'm gonna use it. And you do, and then so that was all I agreed.
Right.
So I want to bring one more piece out, that's where I bring one piece out and go to the law, because I don't want to follow saying, no, it's great, I'm trying to bring.
This took a
I
turn.
don't sign the check here.
The point that I want to make is this 17% right here, guess who that's coming? You need. It's really important to your team, because you need some of that on. I know that you're saying that you have some eye in here as well, so that's fantastic, because that'll help contribute to that. But you have 25% of your constituents on average who are, I said, I'm certain models, but who are looking for this. And you all can look at Paul to help you discover. And he also says that he's close to the leaders that he wants. And you can help drive some of those components as well. And so you just have to be careful to not let the details slow you up from making that progress. And then Bob said, oh, earlier, about making that progress and getting things done.
You gotta ask, this is just very crazy. Why is the I lowercase thing of the we don't have to.
Great question.
You get asked that question all the time.
Yeah.
And the best answer that I've had, I believe is true, but I'm not positive, that's, so big T, little I, big S, big C is copyright. And then you probably have to look a little I in order to get copyright on it, my best guess. But I'm not positive about that. And I's, and it's so funny because they have to pick the one letter to make little, the people who are sensitive about feelings of other people. they put that in. And then I get accused all the time, well, you have a typo in your presentation, well, that's a great question. Do anybody want to opine further on this at all?
I think it says a lot about motivations though. The data, the decision-making process.
It does.
Okay. So as we go through these following slides, let's think about a few things and we go through these. And so this is the person. This person is the systematic Scientific data, business-like approach, perceived as fully patched, uninvolved sometimes. What do you think this person?
Let's see,
That's the real.
the documenting the discussions is what flags it as a seed, I mean,
In the business life,
I think. Leave that too, because avoiding discussion, like personal stuff, we don't want any extra information.
they just want the details. But C's tend to be clinical and in their data, and they just want more to know. Like talking in person, like to make some personal or business talk. And to be spontaneous.
with the eye,
Aye.
all of the folks.
Next, use informal friendly approach, demonstrating willingness to listen, step-by-step approach, fully communicating with hostile or aggressive people.
Yes.
Gaze, If you direct factual, bottom line. Get her done.
But the C's and the D's. cross
See the
over.
crop, yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think that there would be a natural conflict between personnel, I think you call it HR here, either with the HR here and the business office? What would create that conflict just on the natural that happen in so many organizations?
So people in the business office of any organization, they're analytical, they work with numbers a lot. They gravitate towards that sort of thing. That's why they got into this career field. Where human resources, you're naturally drawn to human interaction and those types of issues. So you're gonna be like I's and S's and C's.
And what about when the personnel person offers somebody a starting wage and then the business department gives a hold of what that starting wage was? And like, what the heck do you think? We don't do that. We can't do that. That's outside the rules. That's not a rule anymore. All those things, or the business department says this person needs to be fired, and then they work 3 times this week. And the person, it's this reason we're not doing it, so it creates that natural conflict sometimes between the business office and the personnel.
I work for someone that's. No. And there is always conflict, because they're going to come and want to do something immediately. And we have to really look at everything and read everything with emails, calls, and really analyze it, because we can look at this, not what they expect. And so there's always probably your favorites, your 2 favorites, all the years on. Not the rules, it's rules. With all the time.
I would suggest that we take a 5-minute break right now. So I'll get up and walk around for a minute. We're still on the holiday. So, shows the internations. So blessed. And incredible. And that's it, so he serves so many ways. Possibility out there. Just. Pretty much, so like. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was up in Cloverdale, Oregon, which is, Potomac, you ever been up that way? And so that's on the coast, it's hard to get to, so I had to drive up there, that was a 7.5 hour drive. Got home late Saturday night, was home Sunday, left yesterday to come here 7.5 hours, the opposite direction. So it's a lot, I mean, it's a lot of travel, but it's, anyway.
Are you staying at Greenville Spires?
You know, I looked for hotels in Greenville, and couldn't find it.
Yeah. There's a reason for that.
Trying to work on that.
Yeah.
No, it actually, intentionally, I say coaster. Because it cut my drive by half, so I knew I wasn't starting until noon today, so it's very easy to get rides. Now I've got to go back, so I'm staying in Wallsburg again tonight.
Right now, where's the whole? There's only right for the end of town.
But I've got to be in Los Angeles tomorrow at 7. There you go.
Pick up the what?
Hey,
Nice.
my
Yeah.
daughter's show,
Oh.
yeah, 80 pounds, so, you know. It's not huge.
I would like us to go, but I don't even know.
He gets there too, we got board goats, we got a whole board goat.
Tiny ones that don't.
The Pinsky goats, yeah. You know, those are neat goats as well.
Oh, no. My dad used to slaughter big, make tamales when he was small. His mama would have, they have a bunch. So he'd give us all one and we could name it. You know, you big and slaughter. When he's like, oh, we're gonna eat honey and.
Yeah.
Makes you stronger. I'll give you a little different perspective on it. So the animals that we don't like.
You know,
We just got to grab behaviors and. Maybe sure. The animals that live on our property have so much of a better life than any animal that comes through the traditional production. And so that makes me feel better as a animal husbandry person about the animals that we harvest on the table, because we know they're raised for a purpose. And yet they have the ultimate life. I'm not going to miss.
No, I'm.
Good try, though.
All right,
We're ready.
ready to start? Was there anything that you wanted to share? There was some more conversation about this.
I was just surprised with the results, the 67% was very surprising.
Okay, so we're gonna jump into some different areas, and now we're gonna talk about delegating each of these areas. So a person of this letter, when they delegate, is going to prefer to develop a methodical plan of permission to assign work, like hands-on involvement with the work, so they may have difficulty delegating work, they feel most confident and enjoy doing, tend to follow through by checking back on a regular basis and being available for help. Refers to delegating people who are cooperative, not argumentative, and perform consistently, may correct or redo work rather than confront someone who becomes hostile. See.
You're right.
That's the C. So. Here's the giveaway, like that. The confrontation. C's. If they have the data, they'll be anything, because they'll fight the battle based on the data. The S will do anything to avoid the confrontation. But there's a lot of similarities between the two. Those are the hardest to pick out. So I'll let you read this one. Okay. We
See,
didn't see. So. The reason for D is because the C is going to give such specific directions for somebody to follow, it's going to be almost impossible for them to do. So this is very non-specific and results oriented in D type. The latest one is going, hey, you'll do X, Y, Z and get it done by tomorrow. And then you go out and start the X, Y, Z, you're not even really sure what to do, or what that much detail. And we need to control these with them, when they did it well, but we need light control, yes, they do.
You're reducing that. This one.
You can do your own. Yeah. Right. Right. Directing people. Let's see.
Yeah.
Now, think about this one as a council, with your primary seat. Do you have any of these tendencies as a council? You don't have to answer it, I'm not looking for an answer, but just keep thinking about that, because that's what you do. Remember, you're all about the what, and your staff is all about the how. You have to be careful not to get too tied up. And I think this is where my belief comes out, that I do part of this, but I don't do all of it. And I'm very careful that I don't do some of this. We are in difficulty in being assertive. You have to really work with the capacities on the people accountable, because they'll have a chance to rest. But developing. The second one runs more towards the need. Let's see. I stand for performance and they become critical and patient demanding if it doesn't meet their high standards. Remember, C had high standards and no limit. I had, so I can read further if I got the systemic. And I quit the, that's not involved, so I'm gonna tell you that. But still, the C's like the systemic comprehensive approach to training, that they want to make sure everybody lives up to their expectation of perfection. So this is, you know, the topic. There's your aspect in that last structure to run. That's the motivation for the. That's your change. The decision maker. They're indecisive. Yes. They're quick to make a decision.
Yes.
It's that conflict, of avoiding that interpersonal conflict. That's right.
Aye.
Eyes are the easiest ones to-
Uh,
eyes are the easiest ones.
Easiest-
to
eyes are
figure out
easiest,
what they
yeah.
are.
Yeah, anything with emotion is an aye.
What are you talking about? Paul has a lot of internal, that's a really conflict, so.
He's impatient with himself.
Oh, I sort of picking the ass.
So why see nines?
Because
Yeah,
they,
yeah. And assessing of this.
and they will make decisions. Yeah, that's all it's valid.
Managing time. That's a rough one. Why do you feel about? You're still doing the systematic approach. But you need to bring many seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
This is FRE. Individual being served. So, in the beginning, you all wrote down some individuals that are key to your success and who frustrate you the most. And so the individual activity, what I'm asking you to do is go back to that very first page and take a look at your window. And I'm curious if now that you know there's dirt on your window, does that change your perspective of how those other folks approach life and may give you some definition of some of those folks who frustrate you? And then finally, the question on the bottom of the screen, I tell you, how does this workshop, how would it impact your approach with individuals who you would have who are key to your success and the body behaviors? Roughly. And I'm going to ask, about, I can fly up on about 3 minutes on for you all to either to share, not share names, but just share perspectives on what you. Anybody have anything that they would think would be beneficial if we do each other?
Yes, that's, in going through this and looking at my success list and my frustration list, as well as that last slide that ended up being an S, saying the key indicator that was S was the to-do list. Dude, I cannot live without my to-do list. And so I'm thinking, okay, these are tendencies, these are how you think about things, but you know, we all have all of those things. And maybe that's, so knowing that and knowing that, I mean, I don't think that we think we're a D-list, you know, band, as it were, or tribe, whatever, because everybody's got, you know, something to say about where we're going and getting things done, and that's all good. And it's actually tempered by a lot of the other things that are not driven. So I think it's just, it's a great exercise. We all see ourselves in a lot of what's said. But I think the brilliance of it is taking that whole universe of all those traits, kind of filling in the blanks and the colors. They're just like a paint by number thing, right? You're filling in colors in this picture. That we're all part of it, and all the different colors. We just gotta make them come out. It makes sense. And it does take some, you know, me exercising some S and some D and some I and some all that stuff. But it's the biggest thing is cleaning the lens. Just making sure that you take a breath, clean out the lens, say what's really going to.
What perspective are they coming from? So, does it differ your reaction to what they're doing?
Well, council members, we just said it kind of. We said something about how we should adjust to designate potentially, but I think that part of it too, you know, many layers to be when you figure your way, I do many times, that which
I think, the fact that, we're all in it, a bunch of us are in the C category, we may need to, make it a point to be more, push more into the D category, be more direct, be more, results oriented.
It's almost like we have to, I think that the comfortable we have right now, we're all tuning with the idea with each other. And then we really need to know each other, yes, on the plan. Then we have the idea of what were they doing, what were their agenda. It's almost kind of like, we need to reset. That's what I have to. I work for 9 different people. Every day is a different business, sometimes it's more different business and different day. Every day is different personalities. You know, some people are just really nice and some people aren't so nice. You know, it's like, for me, every time I walk into a building, I have to clear, clear myself out, what happened over here. And what's going to happen, it goes to another one, it's the same thing again. It's certain, doing a different person. I think for myself, I have it done that. I do it very easily when I'm out there doing my job. And I'm doing, we have to that something.
But you remember who you're dealing with, particularly what your reaction is. So
I'm sorry?
helps you to remember who you're dealing with in each person, how you deal with that particular person.
And something that Ariana mentioned really resonated with me, and that's the fact that we do different things with different groups. So when we're at work, we have one personality, when we're at home, we have another personality, and sometimes when we're at council, we have a third personality. And softening the transition between those, it probably helps a lot. Like you were saying, is you need to make sure that you're doing the same things everywhere.
Yeah.
And you behaving fairly consistently, but yeah, I mean, it all boils down to making sure that you're doing the right thing for the population that you're looking with.
The only thing I can control is the job that I do is what we do, that's what their expectations. They need to do that job for them to get the job that they do. You know, you're not there to, I'm nice to everybody, but I'm not there to be friends with them. I'm there to ensure enough time to get about them. And kind of like fear of you have to look at what the community is saying more. And sometimes I hesitate because I can be too flexible. You know, I'm trying to stay in my lane, but sometimes, you know, we're in positions that we have this one thing with the community, and we have to make it decisions, and we're not gonna be fan favorites all the time.
And that's exactly what I was just thinking is we have to realize that we do have to make the hard decisions.
Yeah.
And sometimes people aren't going to like those decisions.
Can't please everyone.
Well, you can, but it's,
You can't.
it's like, literally to your own detriment.
Yeah. Can't please everyone. You have to do what you think is right.
Mhm.
I think with our particular group though, with all of those results, I don't feel like we have too much of a problem with that part of it, like getting stuck on making everybody happy because we tend to lean more towards the data driven, like logical,
And the facts.
factual, yeah,
give me the
so
facts. You're right.
we still care what the fallout may be, but that's not gonna drive the decision.
Right.
We just have to learn to use our strengths when we're making our decisions.
I worked for a gentleman I was in a really good position and we were international shippers, and that's what I did, I shipped internationally. Around what happened to November, for 2 years. And, they just told me, make a decision, make the decision. You know, it may not please everybody, but you gotta make a decision. And if it's wrong, and if it turns out to be the wrong, then you think that. And then you correct it from the government. There's nothing you can do about it. So you want it, I think. And so I was trying to remember that. Like up here, I can tend to be a little bit more hesitant, you know, about the community. I think it's time to flip that around because it doesn't serve the community and it doesn't serve the people that come in, you know, wanting us to make a decision. They're kind of wasting their time, you know, by this back and forth. Because it's not good.
One of the things that learned the part of service is not making a decision is a decision. And that's something that we need to remember when we're sitting there.
The only thing that I will add is I know that, as an I, for the thought, as an I, I was thinking in all the different dynamics also with the 5 people that I wrote down, you have to bring that balance into the different spaces that you walk into. And I think as I'm hearing everybody speak and thinking, me classifying myself as an I do see that sometimes you also need eyes in your spaces because that brings the value of what you're representing, whether it's your business, whether it's your community. And I know as an community oriented, is I feel like I do bring at times the voice of the community or the less heard or the people that maybe don't have a voice at the table because I do see myself in that space of being born in Mexico, you know, illegally crossing the border at the age of 3, calling this menu home. And so I do see that a lot in our community. So many times I do feel like I vote with that, with my heart. Like, what would my community vote? How would they feel if I take this approach? But at times I do feel like I kind of lean towards the D side, and I do what I need to be doing, finish my job, and then go home. So like Rachel mentioned, at the end of the day, this is just one job, you're done, and then you go. Yeah, but I think now it's getting harder too, like how do you leave that behind? I think that's the other part of the conversation that maybe you could help in the future. But I know that that's what's burning. It's making a lot of council members burn out because even though you want to leave everything here, you take everything with you home. And at the end of the day, sometimes we don't even talk about it. The things that we bring home, it does affect the family. It starts to transcend into that home scenario. So we do need a balance, like maybe the Ds, the Cs that could remind me and I that you leave everything here, you don't take it home. And home is a whole different life. If I guess if I'm trying to explain myself correctly, hopefully you guys understood what I was trying to say, but yeah.
I'm just, I'm glad you add, it's even more challenging stuff.
Okay.
Forces you, yeah.
I've always said, if my children live here in town, if I have any children, like, they live here in town, they live in the. They live in the other day. But I don't have that here. I have my nephew, 50-year-old nephew, he don't care. But if I have children here, seeing what you've gone through and some of the other council members have gone through, oh, we would like. We never.
Superintendent, I got all three of my children in the school district, and my wife is a teacher.
Ooh.
I'm not surprised.
You make it work, you make it work, yeah. You know, I would probably never. Just have them see some of the things that happen.
It's hard to sometimes because you can't always vent to them about some of the stuff that you're talking about.
Oh, they want to talk about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I care less about,
I don't wanna
even
hear.
if I try to talk to them, they're just like, with this look on with it, like, you know, we're gonna go again.
It's like, I don't care, yeah.
Maybe,
I don't care.
Right, so the total, as we wind down here and start it out, is even though, I probed a little bit about some of the different, just profiles on your governance team, on your council team, that we truly celebrate those successes and carry that forward and use this as a not need to change. Just use this as recognizing that there is sometimes and recognizing that sometimes you need to look at yourself before you look at the other person and really think about what you're doing. Because 25% of our population on average falls into each one of those areas. And they've not been through this training. And so they're going to approach this without an understanding that they have a tendency to think and process in a different way than you may as a company. And they don't know that. Not because they're dumb or ignorant or anything like that, they just haven't been part of this. They've never had the opportunity to do some of this training. And so sometimes we have to remember that when we're doing this. All right, so with that, what I like to do as we wrap up is do a piece called verbal feedback. And what I like to do with that, so there's a QR code up there. I'd like to have you scan that in a minute before we leave and take that survey on there. This is selfishly all about me. I want to be about that up front because I'm always interested in improving my craft. I look all over the place, as I've talked to you about before. And have spent years doing this and still much of the growth mindset. I learn something every time I get on and present. And so what I like to do if we can is just do a quick look around as far as verbally what went well for you and what is something that could have made this better for you for your perspective. If I would have been young John again. And so that's not what for students right now to think about that. And we're small enough group, we don't have to go more traction, but so you jump in and every time we want.
So I think what worked well for me, in my opinion, is just the space that you provided. It felt very welcoming. They treating everyone individually, like that about you. So it really made you were already coming here tense because of work, whatever the scenario might be, because maybe we haven't been the best of team. The walking in and the way you greeted everyone individually. I think that sometimes we as humans, and even after the pandemic, we forget that, hey, I want to greet Drew individually. I want to greet Rachel individually. Sometimes we don't do that. So I really like that about you, and I hope that I could follow and do that in another scenario. So I appreciate that. And also the way you set the table where we're able to, look at each other, and it's not so much of like a classroom setting, it's more like in person. I really appreciate that. And so stuff here, it's already a no-brainer. You get a 10 plus.
Well, yeah, I have to call some friends on paper, so he gave some,
There you go. It's the eye in the
It's
room.
based on, it's based on. what
I
you-
want us
earlier.
all looking.
All Mr.
That's all I'm feeling good about it. Come on, just-
I'll go next. I like that we all piled on Paul for a little while. That was fun.
y'all all never have that again, so.
No, well, in seriousness, I would agree with what Yanavi said, like even the setup, the way you set up the space, or you both set up the space. It does make a difference to, you know, like building a sense of community among us. And so I do like that. And I think most of us are pretty aware of like what our own style is. So what I like about this is that it does continually take it back to, so how does that mean that you approach other people and work with other people? Because like, Drew for sure knew he was a C, you know, like we all kind of know about ourselves, but it's important with all of these like personality assessments and strengths and weaknesses, not just to know that, but then how do you use that in communicating and working with other people and being productive in your work with other people, or even accepting in your work with other people when they're so opposite.
Just going off of that, because you did a great, this is a great job. I like this program. The one before was really good too. And I was trying to think of, okay, I know you want things that are gonna help you. The only thing that I saw was your slide 46, which was doing exactly what you were saying. It's the critical ideas on leading others. What you need to do when so-and-so, you know, you're trying to lead them, and you get a concrete thing. S is they rescue others. You need to hold them responsible. I mean, if you have 3 or 4 more slides on that, I think that would be really
Great.
otherwise. It was awesome. So,
I like the way you made everybody feel at ease, everybody seem to be comfortable just typing in and talking conversationally without having to. You know, not a lot of structure there, and I think that works out well for a group this size.
For me, it's kind of like. We have this production of. You know, the weather comes in and I think, the things that you brought up, it kind of gives us a little courage, since it's something that we didn't see about each other. And if you talk a little bit more thinking about it, I think, myself, I'm excited to, do it for sure. Someday, you know.
I should have said something.
Let me tell that a little bit more about, we're all here for a purpose, you know, and it's not easy getting at that. You know, so we have to be really appreciative about that. We are there and we are ready. And whether we're appointed or whether we're elected, to the meeting. You know, and I think we have a better understanding of each other, and I hope that we can roll on that, because for me, I work, pay attention to a lot of things that are happening in the communities, because I work in all the communities in the county. I see that, but there's so much dysfunction, and outside looking into other councils, it's disturbing. And I started to think about thinking about one, so you guys are one, you know. So, you know, to our community, you know, raising those things, and it's, that bothers me, it really bothers me, even think that we can't do the decision, you know, that I'm sure busy with fighting amongst ourselves and trying to see who's right and who's wrong, that will live like the. Yeah, I'm hoping, I'm hopeful, I'm always hopeful. I'm hoping that changes. Work a little bit better together, and we should build it. There's, you know, everything doesn't have to be bad and right, sometimes we really. You know, they didn't make any of it.
Makes me wonder how many of those other councils you watch are willing to get behind and do something like this.
Fantastic, you know,
Yeah.
Every place I go into, it has to make me, that's how we get keys. Sometimes I get so that way through it, but what's crazy is, a voting, you almost always vote. I mean, once in a while, we'll have to go straight in here or there, but most of the time, we're pretty much in agreement, so I'm gonna be on review. Lots of people.
Well, I think it pointed out just how similar we are and how we're all here for really the same purpose. We're here to improve the community, we're here because we want to improve the community. And we're all working towards that goal, we work, each working towards it in different ways. But that just showcases our strengths and our weaknesses. It showcases that we're all trying to do the right thing. And I think, I agree with you, I think more councils should do this. I'd actually like to see something like this become an annual thing for the council. And the only thing that was missing here is I'd like to see how staff adds up to this too. And that's not on you, that's more on us, is seeing if we can get the staff involved in this as well and see where the strengths and weaknesses of the staff are. And maybe we can use that to help fine tune the staff, so to speak. Not as. Here he goes. No, it's just, it's not even so much about that, it's more along the lines of giving you the tools. This goes back to being a manager, giving you the tools to do your job effectively. And so you can see the strengths and weaknesses of your team, and you can play towards those and assign jobs appropriately. Not that we're going to assign you jobs, but.
We did just go through 4 hours trying to get this today.
Yeah.
On this 16 uses, so we didn't do this exactly.
Right.
It was more about productivity and workflow.
Right.
And it was really, really good. It was, I mean,
Well, even if your staff didn't do this, though, I think you having done it and now being aware of, that's gonna help you as a manager. I mean,
You can analyze your staff. From
Yeah.
from the chart, basically.
Yeah,
What's going on?
It's like I talked about in the beginning. Basic words, the vocabulary, gestures, how they do with conflict, I mean, you can put out.
I think we all obviously take the job seriously, so I think, good, Nelly mentioned how, I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that takes, an hour or two to wind down after a meeting, but we're all emotionally vested in what we're doing here, so it's good to hear we're all kind of in this together.
misery.
Yeah.
I was like,
So. Never know what you're in.
Right,
No, you don't.
Yeah.
right.
It's kind of like when you come in, you kind of look out to the bottom and try to wait, you're gonna feel like, okay, there's nobody here. How many people are calling in or who's calling in, and you're just like, oh my God.
Exactly.
All right, well, if you can just wrap up by scanning the QR code and it's a quick survey. I really appreciate it.
And there is another one.
do we have to close the meeting with asking for public comment and everything?
Probably we're moving on.
How much do you want to comment? All right. All right, comments, review, and direction. I think we can just now adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. I didn't get the QR.